Hello and welcome to this video demo of the machine learning project. My name is Vijay and my roll number is IMT2019525, and I would like to explain my Jupyter notebooks and my module which I created for this project. So this is the module, it's called MELZ, and it's hosted right now on a private repo. I will make it public by the time I submit it. And as you can see, all the code is here in the SRC folder. For example, over here in linear regression, sorry, this is logistic regression. This supports both univariate and multivariate, and you have solution for the gradient descent and the Newton's method. You also have methods to get training and testing accuracy, as long as a lot of helper functions. We also have naive Bayes classifier, so this is just the predicted labels and accuracy and test accuracy as well. We also have a linear regression implementation. So over here we have the constructor, closed form, and the gradient descent as well. You can install this through pip install appcetone-melz. Now I'd like to explain my regression notebook. So first we load in the data set, and then we see that some of the columns are quite strange in that they have some very high values and very low values in terms of their min and maxes. So that could be a potential outlier. We first look at the null values because that's the first thing we should remove. As you can see over here, this is the sum of all the null values, as in the count of how many are there. You can see population has a lot, hepatitis B has a lot, alcohol, and total expenditure. We'll be reducing these and making them zero at the end. This is another thing we did, that we plot the percentage of each of the things. So as you can see, the highest percentage here is 22. So 22% of this column is empty. Now we plot this. So this is a histogram. And as you can see, a lot of things at 80 to 100, and the mean is also around that much. So we just fill it with the median. Mean and median are almost the same here. In fact, median is a lot higher in this case. And so, yeah, this is just renaming it, and then we plot a histogram of the BMI column over here. As you can see, the BMI column has a lot of variation, so we decided just to drop the thing. So we dropped all the null values, all the records with the null value of BMI. And for population, what we decided was, since it's a categorical variable, and also since the data set has things like name of the country and then the year, there could be many instances of the same country occurring. So what we decided to do was to just look at all the non-null values, and then just take the mean of that and set all the null values things. If for example a record X has a null value, then if the record X's country has a non-null value before it, it would be included in that mean value, and we set it to that mean value. So we do that, and then after this, whatever is remaining, so over here we apply that lambda function here, and after that, whatever is remaining, that means all of the entries in the data set for that column, sorry, for that country is null. So we just drop those like we did before. And for GDP, we did the same procedure. We took the mean, and then we did that, and then we created the dictionary, and then we mapped all of these to the mean, and then we just removed the remaining. Now, as you can see, if we plot the sum, you have two major ones here: alcohol and total expenditure. A lot of them, even though they had high values, it looked like a lot of those columns were having values in such a way that if one were null, the other was also null. So we cross removed some of them, if you may. So we plot the alcohol columns histogram, and we note that it also looks like a lot like a normal curve, and this part is very bunched up. So we just filled it with the mean again. And same for expenditure, we filled it with the mean. In fact, this looks a lot more like normal curve. And so we know that from mu to 2 sigma left and right, you have almost 95% probability of the value being there. So taking mu is not such a bad approximation. That's the justification here. Again, if we plot the thing, so total expenditure also we filtered as num. Mean, sorry. Now if you plot the number of null values, you can see there's only 2 to 8 ones, so we just dropped the remaining. Now the data frame itself has some things like country and year. So over here, since we're predicting the life expectancy, we don't really need the country or the year. It should be agnostic of those two, so we just remove them. So we just remove those functions, and sorry, those columns. And now we added a one-hot encoding for the status, because there was some text over there, as you could see there. So we added one-hot encoding there by doing pd.getDummies. And now we look at the outliers. So we look at the scatter plots, and As you can see over here, there seems to be one outlier, but this is life expectancy, so let that be there. Now there could be some outliers here, and there could also be some outliers here in population. We've decided to filter out both of these. So that's a big one. Probably it could be like China or India, where it has large population, but that will definitely affect the data set and the model we're going to build. So we generated box plots for both of those, and you can see that there's quite a few here. There's only a few here, but quite a few here. And so we decided to filter this one out by removing it past 1 billion. And the same thing we did for infant deaths, and we removed them, and then we removed the things, and also for population. So we removed some of them, for example, population over here. And now we also looked at some more, we described the thing again, and we also looked at some minimum values. So adult mortality and GDP, these columns are suspicious for those things. They could have some outliers. And so we removed some outliers over there as well, like this is before and after pictures. Then we normalized all the values. As you can see, one is 1 billion and one is like 0.1. So obviously there would be some kind of discrepancy while building the model. So we removed the outliers, and we by normalizing it by maximum, and then we check the correlation to see which one would be good. So as you can see, this is the column we should be looking at. The life expectancy. So as you can see, there are a few good approximators like adult mortality, income, composition of resources, schooling, and BMI. So we take the optimum as these 4 columns, and then we trained a univariate regression model, and I just implemented the closed form solution over here, and then we went to the multivariate. Actually, the repository I told you also would support this univariate, but just for the sake of implementation of closed form, as it's faster, as we know, inversion of a matrix takes n cube time, and so this would be faster. So now in the multivariate thing, we did train plus split on our own. So we defined that function before, and we took it at 0.85 split for training, which means 15% will go to testing, 25% for training. Then we divided that to x and y. And now if we take the closed form parameters again, so this is where we import our module, so our abstract MEL set. You can see it in the code as well. Now we took the closed form solution, we got some weights, and same for gradient descent. And so then we took the we got the accuracy in terms of mean squared and mean absolute error. I have summarized these findings in the report as well. So that's about the regression part. Now I'd like to talk about the classification part. So over here again, we loaded the dataset, and then we look at the null values. There were no null values here, so that was a good thing. And then we looked at outliers. So we did a similar procedure to before. So we looked at the columns, and there could be a few columns where you had some outliers. For example, here. Now there were 3 suspicious columns that I took: glucose, blood pressure, and BMI. So now we applied the mean for all of these 3 because that was a good thing there, and it also seemed to have followed normal because I did some temporary plots. So we applied the mean for that, and now there are no outliers again, and we just plotted them again just for that. And then we also looked at some skin thickness and BMI columns. Those could have high values, so we did a box plot for that separately here. So as you can see, these are the 2 plots. So this is clearly an outlier here, and this is also a few outliers here. We decided that although the BMI outliers may seem significant, through even cursory domain knowledge, we know that life expectancy, if you have very high BMI, it's almost 0. So we decided to leave these there. These could be an oversight while collection of the data, but we decided not to pursue that lead here. But we definitely removed this one. So everything less than 80 we took, as you can see over here. And now we looked at the bias. So certain times, if you have classification problems, sometimes we might have cases where 95% belongs to type A and 5% belongs to type B. In such case, we should be very rigorous in the way we sample. We have to oversample or undersample or do some kind of differential sampling so that we have some kind of representativeness in the training set or the testing set. Over here, we have 65% split, so that was, I guess, fine. But in any case, the baseline implementation of everything we do should have at least 65% because that is a random guess. Now, similar to the last time, we looked at the correlation matrix over here, and we took the most linear columns are glucose, BMI, and age. You can see over here, glucose, BMI, and age were the top 3. And then we didn't have to encode anything like last time because there was nothing in non-numeric format. Everything was perfectly organized. Then again, like last time, so this is the model import. So we cannot import it using normal import because we have a hyphen in the name. But this is the same training testing split thing. And we did the same as last time, except for this time we took a 0.75. And then we trained the logistic regression classifier on all the things. And then we got, so this is in gradient descent, you get 72% accuracy. And over here, we also introduced in our module a new metric of true positives, true negatives, false positives, and false negatives. So we can see over here, number of true negatives was pretty good, true positives was good, and false negatives actually as expected, because the number of negatives in this case 0 was 67%. And then we did it using the test. So this is for the training set. So we decided the training accuracy and the testing accuracy. So this was the remaining 25% split. Over here also we got 68.75. Naturally we expect this to be smaller than this, but it's still pretty good, I guess. And now this is for the Newton's method. We did the same procedure and we got actually a much better accuracy training and testing. So 78% and 73%. This was better than even a univariate. Training the naive Bayes classifier. So the same procedure we did over there as well. We got a 77% for here, and for a test, it was 69% using the same probability and mean, variance, and likelihood matrices that we made. The implementation is done in the repository. And now we looked at the multivariate. So as we know that naive Bayes is naive in the sense that it assumes everything is univariate. Everything is independent. And now in such a case, if you have dependent columns, we might have some issues because we could have correlations between them. And so we plot the correlation matrix here, and we see that certain columns like age, pregnancies, and glucose have some pretty good cross correlation. And now if you plot them, we also see they have a pretty nice normal structure. So this would be very good for multivariate or non-naive Bayes classification. So that is the end of the report. Thank you.